that a train whistle?
It's probably my sinuses.
And we are live anytime you want to start.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's 1 o'clock. I call this meeting in order. On our agenda, Mike, you are Faculty Senate Secretary. Could you please do the roll call?
Yes, I'll be doing roll call by looking at the screen and noting the faces I see. If you're here as in a proxy for somebody, please send me a private message on the side. I know I have a note here that Robert Rados is here for Stacy McKinney. And that's the only proxy I have noted.
I was surprised, to be honest, that they all sort of feel that way. I mean, I know that Cheryl is rigorous. I think Chris more, I mean, he's rigorous about his own standards, but I think that he really does like the student.
Senator Brops, you really
So
need to turn your machine
wasn't
off.
surprised from him, but Cheryl, it's
Yeah.
I think she can
thought
be
it was
muted.
enough that they got this exposure and opportunity.
Could Carol Walker shut her up?
But I have
maybe?
also heard her say to me privately once that she only was from such and such law school and, you know, couldn't expect to compete with everybody. And I was just like, I don't see the world that way at all. I said, I'm first lawyer in the family and that makes no difference to me. I expect to be with anybody. Until
I think I've said what I need to
I
say
haven't
about the
been
roll
proven
call,
otherwise. And I don't know why she feels that way, but
I'll be again looking at the screen. Please send me in a message if
Yeah.
you're here as a proxy.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, number 3 on our agenda, minutes. And we sent out the minutes last Friday. Any corrections, please?
yeah. Well, and at the same time, not seeing the point that raising the GPA for our students is.
Can she not hear us? Jennifer, can you not hear us?
You need to mute.
And that's the
Whoever-
message for both faculty and
Controlling the meeting should be able to mute her.
Carol,
Yeah.
Send her a chat as well.
mute her.
Yeah, but please hang in there.
I sent a message in chat.
Have you in the role.
I did
I'm
too.
very glad you
Yeah,
said
but
that for us, and
you're
I'm
gonna
very
have to
glad
just
you
shut her
sort
up.
of see the horizon of where we need to be, and don't just haven't been here so long you kind of forget where we're supposed to be.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who started the meeting? Who's the host?
Yeah, whoever the host is can mute anybody usually.
Yeah, Carol, you're the host, so you're able to just
Yeah.
mouse over to
We
her.
came out of
phone.
a meeting today with Stan and Rebecca and Angela with all the volunteers.
Carol there?
And yeah, and
These potentially could be sensitive personnel
we'll see.
issues.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
No,
what to do
I
here,
just,
for a
I
protocol.
think we're hearing a conversation we're not supposed to hear.
Well,
I
and it's
believe
hard-
we
yeah.
are.
Is Carol not on
I-
anymore?
yeah. I felt better about Rebecca had some good insight.
We don't have a precedent here.
He's signed
There
in,
wasn't
but I don't
anything
know if he's
disagreed
sitting
with
near
her
his
on,
computer.
but Stan was very disorganized.
Jennifer? Start the meeting
Yeah,
again.
I worry about.
Log out and
Can we
come back
start
in.
the meeting again is what I would say.
Yeah,
I
he
move.
Yeah.
kept
Restart the
interrupting
meeting
real quick.
everybody.
Yep.
You know,
I'm leaving.
it seemed a little off. So,
Let's,
Yeah.
No one
everybody
got
log-
angry or
Everybody
anything.
log
I
out,
understand.
log back in.
But we,
not well run, and there was nothing Angela could do about it, you know, but yeah. 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 If he doesn't come back, will he be here in person? Fall? Okay. I hope he
Right,
doesn't.
Whoever restarted the meeting as the host should be able to mute now.
Okay. I know. I know. Yeah. So I hope you have some vacation plans and graduation was good.
I'm
Good.
I'm just upset she hasn't mentioned my name yet. Hey, come on.
Well, I only talk about you behind your back, so maybe that's what she
Yeah,
does.
I can imagine.
Good. Very good.
Can we send out a new link really quick to everybody?
Yeah, do that.
I'm trying to call her on the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried calling her.
Well, I just came back
No
from seeing
answer.
my mom, and it was kind of in the
I can hear it, I
Ashland,
can hear it.
Oregon area.
In the,
Yeah.
It's
in
very
the
southern
future,
Oregon, where it's a cute town, kind of like a Santa Cruz.
Yeah, these sound like personnel
Great
matters
shops and
potentially.
restaurants and
We should
that,
jump off
and,
and wait for a new link.
that was very nice. That was very, very nice for me. And
This is the office number of Jennifer Burke.
I need that.
Does
you know,
anybody have her cell
put
number
everything
to
into
text her?
perspective. And yeah, so I'm
Uh-oh.
to be honest, I'm still doing my taxes.
I'm gonna just jump off the meeting and wait for a new link.
I do, except for me as single mom, it means I'm also doing my kids' taxes now. My
Would think at some point she would look.
So that's fun.
Well,
Are we sending out
Just
a
make
new
it
link
too
or what's our
personal.
My
plan?
counters are covered.
What's our
So
plan
until
here?
that's done, but then I'm thinking I
Yeah.
definitely want to get out of Dodge.
yeah, if
And
Who's
it's
host?
very
No,
well,
who's host?
it's been peaceful
For
this
this
year
meeting
here
now?
because of COVID, but
Carol.
it's very peaceful in the summer with
Still
all the
Carol?
students gone.
And we're not
It
hearing anything
feels
from
like a
Carol?
different,
Yeah, we're not hearing Carol at all.
charming place. So
yeah, he must have started
somebody
it this
call
week.
Carol's office number. Is
I
Carol-
tried that and no answer.
oh
For Carol?
yeah.
No answer for Carol.
And no
Okay.
answer for Jennifer.
No answer for Jennifer.
You're right.
Yeah,
there
Very
is no
good.
I
answer
just need
for
a new
her.
link.
Yes, thank you. Have a good day.
It sounds like, yes.
All right, she's hanging up.
All right.
But we still need her on mute though.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll come into the meeting now.
Yeah, she's on. She's
on
now
mute.
on mute.
If you don't mind me speaking a little bit, at the graduate council meeting, one time the similar thing happened. And then from the following meeting on, the other person in the meeting was made the co-host. And then from then on, they could take over. Yeah.
That's the solution.
Yeah, I think the problem was we couldn't get a hold of the host to do that. So we should probably have either make sure the host is going to be at the meeting the entire time or have two hosts if possible. I don't know if that's possible on Zoom, but make sure someone at the meeting is host.
I think you should make sure that you have more than one host, like maybe have president, vice president, secretary as the co-host. And that way, if someone is not here, then that can be alleviated because that is very inappropriate.
Yes, it's inappropriate and it's a colossal waste of time.
Agreed. All right, do we have our president? Is he still on? Does anybody see him?
He sent a chat saying that he was going Carol to send a new link. I'm wondering if he's waiting on a new link himself. Someone got his phone number?
I do not. I don't know if somebody else does.
I'll call him.
Okay, thank you. And if he doesn't get on, then I can continue the meeting. So just hold tight for a few minutes, and very sorry about this.
I was going to wait till the formal meeting began, but I figure since we have a little downtime, I'd like to congratulate Chancellor Lane on his first in-person graduation.
Congratulate us. Well, that was a team effort, wasn't it?
That was probably one of the best graduations I've ever participated in. And, you know, we've had them in the basketball arena year after year, and I think the venue was better.
Nice out there. We almost got though on Sunday. We needed a meteorologist.
You defied the meteorologist and got away with it.
We did, didn't we? We were stubborn. We were stubborn. It was about a 34-minute window we saw in the forecast that we could get the 12 o'clock commencement done. Those hats started blowing down there on the field. I thought, uh-oh, we're not going to make it. But we did. But hats off to everybody who was there, and I saw most of you there, where you were tuned in. I appreciate all that you did to make it special for them. I think I call them kids, but I think they really enjoyed it. Parents did too. So
It wasn't just the hats; it was the blowing up plastic ponchos we were wearing.
And that stage was a little scary there, wasn't it, Joe? I thought those planks were going to fall down a few times. We made it.
No, it was an excellent ceremony, and I watched some of it later on YouTube, and it was just as good in YouTube as well.
Well, everything was going fine until Grant decided to walk off the stage without the mace. You know, I thought, hey, Grant, not so fast.
I know, it's best to leave with the one you showed up with, including the mace.
Grant said, let's go.
Let's go. You know, they kept yelling mace, and I thought somebody was getting mugged or something, or I didn't know what was going on, but yeah.
I almost forgot too, and then somebody whispered to me, you got to take the mace off.
Dr. Lee is now sending out an email telling us to join him on a new Zoom link. Somebody might want to get a hold of him.
I just tried to call him. I replied to his email. We'll see if he comes back. I told him to go back to the other link.
I sent him a text too. I'll send him one too.
Who knew the last meeting of the year would be so exciting?
I'm so glad it's somebody else today and not me. Not that I want to wish that on anybody else, of course. It's just that, thank you.
Father Brian, I was just sitting there thinking the same thing.
Hey.
But while we're waiting for him, we can go ahead with approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any changes that need to be made to those minutes? All right, if there are no changes, can I get a call for approval of those minutes?
I so move.
A second.
Great, thank you very much. Is there any discussion? All right, then those minutes are approved. Thank you very much. We are still waiting for Dr. Lee, so we can, oh, it looks like he's on. So Yuting, we've approved the minutes, so if you want to go ahead and pick up the schedule at your remarks, that would be awesome.
Okay, sure. Okay, I just sent a new link, just ignore it. I think 1 minute behind. It's confused. I'm sorry about the unexpected confusion. Now, the minutes, any correction?
But we did that. We approved
did
the
that
minutes already. So if you
Oh,
want to
okay.
pick up at your remarks, that would be awesome.
Good. So any motion?
They've been approved officially, Dr. Lee.
Oh, okay, so you did everything there.
Yeah,
Good.
so move to your remarks.
Okay, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I have 3 updates or 3 items to report to you. First of all, the transition between the last year's faculty senator officers and this year's officers went pretty well. I would like to express my deep appreciation to the past president, Dr. Marcus Oldham, and the past vice president, Dr. Grant Miner, and also the past secretary, Dr. Amber Pond. And also I'm very grateful to our new vice president, Bethany Reeder, and our secretary, Mike Gozowski. And I really enjoy working with both the previous officer and current officers. As you know, on the agenda, our co-chairs of the standing committees were elected through the faculty senator operating table. And above all, I want to thank Josh, our administrative assistant, Mr. Josh Freak, who was extremely helpful and instrumental in our transition. Second, our Chancellor's office invited our faculty senator executive members to participate in a Zoom meeting with the Gray Association about the integrated program assessment and management this week, actually tomorrow. So most of our faculty senator executive council members will attend. We will give you update at our July's meeting. And as you know, this association, Gray Association, is a strategic consulting firm focused on higher education. For more information, you can check www.grayassociates.com. And finally, or number 3, the commencement last weekend went pretty well. I want to thank our faculty member for participating in this commencement last weekend, including a few grand marshals such as Dr. Marcus Oldham, Dr. Amber Pond, and Dr. Lee Chang Wang, and Dr. Joe Shramek, and Dr. Grant Miner, and myself. Any questions and comments about my report? So if you have any question, you can raise up your hands electronically. Okay. Number 5 on our agenda, question and answer session with our Chancellor and the Provost Mio Comaraggio. So we have 30 minutes. So Chancellor and the Provost Comaraggio.
Chancellor, I know you went to Chicago recently. Can you provide us with maybe a little update on what transpired in Chicago and how the visit went?
Yes, I can. Thank you for that, Dr. Oldham. And before I start, let me just say thank you publicly to Dr. Oldham for all the great work that you've done over the last year. And I know that you're trying to get away from us now, but you can't get away. We know where you are. I've got your number, know where to find you. And to Dr. Lee, to you and the new officers, congratulations. Look forward to working with all of you and moving the university forward. So thank you for giving us this opportunity. We are in the midst of our yielding efforts, and that is to close the deal with students that have applied. And one of the yield trips that we took was really to gain a little political and social capital in the Chicago area. So we were fortunate with the help of some Salute the alums to go up and have our first meetings with Chicago Public Schools with some of the leaders there. Now, I will tell you, they've gone through a little bit of change over the last week at the top level. A couple of their top folks are leaving, but fortunately, our connection there is not. And he really gave us a nice insight about how we could capitalize on the students in the Chicago Public Schools, and we're able to get some really valuable information, good follow-up information on the students that have applied and what we could do to get them here. So just little things like, you know, they're in school all the way through to, I think, mid-June or the end of June. And, you know, for some reason, whatever the reason, a lot of their students are kind of coming out of the fog right now and thinking about where they want to go to school. And so, you know, we want to be there for them right down the stretch to get them there. So had a great meeting there. Was able to connect in also with the city colleges of Chicago with the chancellor. So had a great meeting with him. He's got about 7 schools that are there within the city colleges of Chicago, and really looks to SIUC as being one of the institutions that, you know, he really wants to advocate pipelining students to us. They're very excited about some partnerships we already have in place, and also partnerships that will allow some students to stay where they are and not come to Carbondale. So had a really, really good meeting there. You know, on the political side, talking in with our, in this case, Julia Stratton, our deputy lieutenant governor that's there. And we also talked with some other SIU alums. Kim Fox, I think, is the state's attorney. Had a chance to meet with her and a couple of aldermans. We were fortunate to meet 2 of our alums that one owns about 11 McDonald's in an area that we typically recruit in, and has agreed to help us really reach out, even through the use of his restaurants, but to really recruit more students in that Chicago South Side, West Side area. There's some areas there we typically draw a lot of students from. And then another alum that owns, I think, 2 McDonald's. And so it was pretty neat to be able to meet people at a place where I used to eat there a lot. I stopped. I had to slow down a little bit on the Big Macs and things. But to have that kind of connection with our alums was really neat. So it's just a beginning of some of our pipelines, Dr. Odom, to try a little bit and make sure that they know that we're here. Mira and some other folks on our team are tied into them with a compact. So that Chicago Public Schools has a compact that we were not a part of for some reason, but we are now. And so it gives us, I think, real good access and information into those students. So it was a great overall trip. I got a lot done there and met some alums. That evening, we met a lot of donors and alums that showed up to one of the restaurants in the area downtown, and was really glad to be able to interact with them as well. So overall, really, really good trip there.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Dr. Marcos. Thank you, Chancellor Nan. The next one is Dr. Joe Shramick.
So I have 2 questions, my usual one, but actually I want to preface it with a question about something that I came across recently as a director of undergraduate studies in my program, which is that we were told that program-wide articulation agreements were put on hold until reorganization was over. And I have an update into when that hold will be removed, because I think those are part of the major strategic plan about getting further students here. And the longer we have that on hold, I think we're stymieing our efforts to recruit students, to bring transfer students, particularly into our programs. And then, of course, my usual question, which is where are we with overall enrollment?
Joe, thank you for both your questions. Regarding your first one about the hold on articulation, we are addressing it because this came to my attention over a week, maybe almost 10 days ago. And I've contacted the registrar's office. We were losing some personnel. And so we were trying to position ourselves and say, okay, which is the priority and which ones need to be processed. And we are in the process of replacing those lost articulation and evaluation personnel. And so we could get caught back up. The registrar director is here with us, and she can also answer that question. And then I'll answer your second question after.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Joe, hi. I'll clarify a little bit. The program articulation agreement is only being paused, and it's not necessarily for reorganization. It's being paused so that we can do maintenance for more than 300 agreements for which legal requires that we review and update every third year.
Okay.
So, you know, given that we have nearly 1,000 program articulations out there in some process of approval, review, so forth, we do need to do maintenance on them periodically because they are legal agreements.
Sure.
And we're paused for that. The pause is taking a little bit longer because of the staffing issues that Mira has explained. We are making accommodations for some priority programs for which we already had process in place for them. So we're doing what we can to really get to the critical issues, but I only have 1.5 FTE right now. And we're stretching as far as we can stretch. But I just wanted to clarify, we are only pausing, and it is not because of reorganization.
Somebody in your office led me to believe completely the opposite of what you just said. So thank you for clarifying that. I got the message referred to me was, we are definitely pausing this. We're not doing these until reorganization's over. So I think somebody misinterpreted it along the way.
Yes, I will address that with staff. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
No worries.
So in terms of your other question, Joe, here are the updates in terms of our enrollment numbers. So for first-time, full-time freshmen, we continue to trend in the positive direction. We are up 15.8% in admitted students. We have admitted 6,444. Of those, 584 have registered, which is a 14.5% increase compared to this time last year. We have been focusing a lot more on the process of registering students, and compared to last year to this year, we have really streamlined some of those processes. So we're doing a smoother handoff from admissions to the registrar and including the recruitment retention coordinator for the college. So we have made some improvements in that part of it. In terms of online freshmen, that was an area that we were sort of like not doing as well. But I'm glad to report that, sorry, not the online, but the transfers that are although our admits are 2.1% lower, our registered students are 6.2% higher than this time last year. So we're making some gains in terms of our transfer students. And then in terms of off-campus transfers, that's where we are doing well, particularly in the completely online programs. Our applicants are up 23%, admits up 28%, and registered students are actually down, but they are working on getting these admitted students registered. So in terms of graduate students, our admits are up 9.4%. We have admitted 546 students and registered 130, which is, you know, hats off to the faculty. This is 83% higher than this time last year. So
Can I ask a brief follow-up to this, which is, is it too early to know what our freshman to sophomore retention rate is? Do we have any early indications about that with housing contracts, or I don't know how you would track it, but.
Yeah, so that was like going to be the second part of my report, was the retention, because we are paying close attention to that. And that is the freshmen that came in fall 2020, trying to bring all of them back in fall 2021. So we start tracking, is like, this is now the third week that we've been tracking it. So we are, as of today, which is like 14 weeks out, we have retained 60.88%, but our aim is to get to, at a minimum, what we were last year, which is 80.6%. So last year at 10th day, we were at 80.6. Today we are at 60.88%, but that is 4.42% lower than last year at this time. So we have a lot more work to do. So we are, it's a multi-level action that is going on. The academic advisors are reaching out to them. The financial aid office is reaching out to them. We're trying to lift the bursar holds, trying to provide support to the students. We have our in housing, as the students were leaving, they were encouraged to register for their classes. Instructors have been asking students to register. So that activity will continue so that we bring in as many of our freshmen back. So as of today, 478 have not registered. So we are, sort of reaching out to those students and encouraging them to get registered. From last week to this week, 43 more had registered in terms of the effort in the year, and the week before about 108 had registered. So we're doing that part of it. In terms of housing contracts, our freshman housing contracts are up 0.3%. Our new student orientation signups have increased 13%. So we have 978 who have signed up for the freshman orientation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question for the chancellor and the provost?
I would like to say something to the chancellor, but I can't say it in public. So anyway, when you were talking about the public schools in Chicago, I would hope that we don't, I would hope that you would be able to do at some point in the next visit to Chicago to also connect with an innovative high school program there. It's the Christ the King Cristo Rey Network. And they have about 100% of their high school graduating seniors accepted into colleges. And over the last 5 or 6 years, because Christ the King has only been in operation perhaps 12 or 13 years, they've sent 3 or 4 of their outstanding graduates down here, but they get lost. And if there was a way to have some connection, definite connection to Christ the King and Cristo Rey. Christ the King, the majority of the students are African-American and then Hispanic Latino. And Cristo Rey, obviously, it's the reverse. But both of those schools are, I must modestly say, operated by the Society of Jesus. And they are living up to our reputation finally. So I would really recommend that that be in your to-do lists possibilities, because they will be astounding students here. And it's both of those schools are state of the art. And I would just want that to be on the record to say that the Cristo Rey Christ the King Network in Chicago is maybe an under-recognized jewel.
Yeah, we can do that. And Mira helped me with that with Todd. We're targeting schools that sound very similar. I not heard about that one, so thank you for that. And we can definitely put that on the list. We've targeted Kenwood Academy and some of the other areas in Hyde Park. And we've got some of that surrounded, but that one threw me for a loop. I hadn't heard about that one. So we'll definitely dig into that.
Thank you very much for the question, Professor Brown, and thank you for your answer, Chancellor Nan. Next person is Professor Jennifer Sherry. You have a question, your hand is up.
Yes, I actually have a comment for not only the chancellor, but the provost and staff that are in those offices. I received a note from one of my colleagues about a recent award program at a local high school, and the superintendent and the families of the students were very impressed with the outreach of the recruiting as far as for local students. And this particular high school had 1 Chancellor Scholar, 24 University Excellence Scholars, 3 Saluki Gold Scholars, and 2 Saluki Silver Scholars. And this is a group of 115 students. So that was about 25% of their senior class at a local high school that will be coming to SIU. So that should make us all very happy that the recruiting is going very well with the local high schools, and just kudos to anyone and everyone who were involved in that effort. Thank you so much.
Great news.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer, for your comments. Any responses or any question for the chancellor and the provost?
Jennifer, I just want to say that I'll share your message with the admissions committee team because they do a lot of that work. And oftentimes they only get the things that they are not doing. So this will be helpful for them to at least feel encouraged in their efforts.
Yes, thank you, because that is very, very important to share the good, because a lot of times we do hear the not so good. So yes, please do share that with anyone and everyone who's been involved in that effort. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any more questions for the chancellor and the provost?
Oh, I'll ask a follow-up. I wanted to wait on this. Since we've been a year now into your tenure as president, as chancellor. So what kinds of recruiting, in terms of recruiting retention, we're obviously seeing some positive signs of that. So are there tweaks to the strategy? What kind of updates to the strategy going forward as we come out of the pandemic? Obviously, we were sort of in an emergency this past year, having to think on our feet, having to do things very differently. So if you learn new things that we're going to come out of, we're going to do better in, next year. I don't know, it's a very wide-ranging question, so take whatever you want of that.
Yeah, there are always tweaks. We're always thinking about what we can do to gain and get the advantage over other institutions. What I think has been what will be a new tweak is how schools allocate the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. It's going to be the next strategic tweak. A lot of institutions like ours have been awarded millions of dollars. And what we're all trying to do now, myself and Mira and others just got off of a call this morning, because everybody is strategically now trying to keep their enrollment and attract more students. So what we didn't tell you a couple of minutes ago is that that's been our new strategy, is that even though our scholarships ended around March 1, you've got a lot of students, particularly those from the Chicago Public Schools, because they told us in very nice terms, they said, your deadline's way too early. You're gonna miss a lot of kids that, could really utilize some of the scholarships that are there, and they're still making their decisions. So, you can't run off and leave them. So, we've got to focus on retaining the class that's here now. The strategy that we employ is really a high touch strategy. It's really getting directly to the student and finding out where their gap is and where their need is. And we have found it's financial. It is just that simple. It's not so much academic, and they're doing well academically. They just can't close the gap. And so Mira, Tam probably knows as well, we've got some students on that list of, they have holes, right? Because they've got financial, they're over the threshold amount. And so you're going to hear about it. It's probably better to hear about it from me than maybe reading about it on the news. We'll hear us start to pay down some of the balances, which we are allowed to do with these funds that I just talked about, that other universities will be doing the exact same thing. And it's because of the COVID relief. It's part of the plan. So we're going to assume our students had a tough year financially. Their parents had a tough year. So that's what the funds are for. So we're going to help pay some of those balances down, which we believe is going to allow us to keep that retention rate, Joe, where it is, or go up a little bit more, because we retain those students that we would have lost for non-pay, and that we're going to attract those students that are still thinking about us, but maybe can't afford us. And so it's a never-ending process, it feels like, with the recruiting. But Jennifer, it's so good to hear what you just said, because we're starting to see the fruits of our labor in some of these different areas come to fruition. We can really see it happening. And the final piece I would add is, you probably saw the Carbondale District 95 agreement, planting that seed a little earlier. I know we need immediate, but we also have to be thinking about, 10 years from now, and you're only going to do with those elementary students, those middle school students, because they'll be here So we don't want to miss that just because we're so focused on getting a junior or a senior into SIU. Some of it we won't see immediately. I'd be lying to you if I told you that. It's going to take some time to kind of get that number to uptick. We're going to have to do it with a clear pipeline all the way down to elementary school. So you'll have a lot more efforts that happen there to get us on that pathway.
Yeah, just to add to that a little bit, when we had the budget crisis a few years back, it was, I think what really hurt us was doubt about the MAP grants being renewed. And I think we lost several thousand students during those years because people weren't sure that they would even be able to afford college. One thing that my college has done about the Bursar bills, thought was a really innovative trial thing a couple semesters ago, was they did a raffle to put if you registered for the spring, but you had a Bursar hold, your name got pulled out of a hat, and I don't know how we had funding for this, but paid off the Bursar bill. Because I think that's one of our biggest barriers is there's a tiny Bursar bill, but for whatever reason, we're not allowing them to register for anything. And then they can't register for their core required classes, especially if they're only a freshman or a sophomore and they get closed out of their courses. And some of these courses are only offered once a year and they're held back in their major a full year because of that. So I think if we can ever solve that problem, somehow that is equitable to us, obviously as an institution, but to them as a student.
No, I agree. And part of the funds that I talked about, higher education emergency relief funds, and I don't want to sound selfish, but as we pay off some of those bills that our students have, it's going to have a positive impact on our tuition revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want you to see both sides of that. I don't want you to say, oh, you guys just throwing money and paying off bill. Well, that's what the relief plan allows us to do to help those students, but also is going to help our bottom line with our tuition revenue. To your point, Joe, trying to pull out of that hole since 2015. And so this may give us a little boost if we can do it the right way and get those students back in here, financially speaking, and then retain them all the way through. So a lot of work happening with that.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Joe, again, and thank you for clarification answers, Chancellor Nan. We have about 3 or 4 minutes for one more questions before I will invite both the Chancellor and Provost to wrap up with additional comments. In one more question, please. So if not, we will move on. Okay, Professor Vicki Croce. Vicki?
Hi, do we have an idea of when we will start searches for permanent deans in the colleges that have interims? We recently got an interim who will begin July 1 in MCMA now, CAM.
What we've been doing for the colleges that have formed, and we are just like wrapping up 2 searches right now for the College of Agricultural, Life and Physical Sciences, as well as the College of Health and Human Sciences. We follow a similar pattern and start up the search in the fall. Once faculty are back on contract, we would start that search process in the fall.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vicki. Thank you very much, Provost Kumarajcho. If you do not have any more questions for either Chancellor Nan or Provost Kumarajcho, I would like to ask the Provost and the Chancellor to offer some additional comments. Each of you will have about 5 minutes.
Yeah, you guys ask such good questions. You almost take some of my thunder away when I have my notes here to present. So great questions. Let me first start off with thanking everyone. Believe it or not, it's the end of the semester. It was like a blur. I know we didn't have spring break, and I know you're probably tired of looking at me or other people or each other, but hopefully you get a chance to get out and take a break. And I know you need it. But I appreciate all that you've done to be flexible We hope, right, that we're at the end of this. And as you know, we're gearing up for our fall plans, and that's coming along well. We're still going to be cautiously optimistic. Hopefully things stay the way they are. But we want to make sure that, we are here to take care of our students and to get them to the next level. One of the things, we talked commencement, hats off to everyone who participated. That was just a great way to celebrate our students. Luckily, we avoided some of the bad weather, and that seemed to work really well. I heard Dr. Lee mention this with the Gray Associates. Some of you will be involved in that tomorrow, and I appreciate you taking time and give us your honest feedback of what you're seeing and what you think. We want to hear that. Give us some direction there, but this is sort of our what we are thinking is going to be kind of our debrief to the academic reorganization and really get us moving forward in that direction, so we all know where we're going as it relates to what we just went through. So I want to make sure that you have a voice in that and that you're able to see what we're seeing, so there are no secrets about what we're trying to accomplish going forward. It's going to be important. Well, one thing that I was a little upset about, a couple of months ago, I mentioned that the governor came out and said that, we would really hold higher ed harmless, and that seems to be the case right now. Although a couple of days ago, we were asked to put together, we already had it, but we were hoping we didn't have to do it again, but we were asked to submit that 5% reduction if we had to reduce anything. And so every time I see those notes come through, my stomach starts to get a little worried there. And I think, oh gosh, here we go with this. 5% reduction for us is about 4.5 million. So obviously it's better than the 10% reduction scenario that they asked for a couple of months ago. But again, none of that's final. As you know, those have been going through this for a while. That's just early conversation. The session will end though this month. So hopefully we can avoid any type of budget reduction that's out there. Our strategy, as we talked mostly on this call, is to focus on enrollment going forward. How do we actually get there, and what we're trying to put in place to do that. You are starting to see some folks on our team that are retiring. You're probably seeing that, and we're going to be announcing some folks who are retiring. We're going to announce folks who are being hired. We're announcing folks who are serving as interim. So you'll see a lot of movement here. I know some of you, if you take off and leave, make sure you check your email there if you want to stay connected, or SIU Today, you'll start to see some announcements of movement. I don't want you to come back and go, wow, where'd everybody go? I mean, it may feel like that when you come back and at the end of summer. So I want to make sure you don't think we're doing something without you knowing about it. But we will communicate it as best we can. And if you have any questions there, feel free to let me know. Other than that, again, I everybody here for all their hard work. We've got a lot of work to do to get ready for fall. Luckily, our staff, and I know it's tough, but those that took the remote work from home, they're starting to trickle back in. And I know it's tough. Some are trying to find childcare, and we're working with them to do that and giving them a little more extended time. But we are going to have our students here, and we are going to need to have some personnel here to serve those students. And I really appreciate them coming back because we need them here. And so with that, I wish everyone a great summer. Again, if you're not going anywhere, if you're going to be here like us, and we'll see you around campus. But I appreciate everyone's time, effort, and most importantly, your feedback. And I don't take it personal, so I appreciate people just sharing what's on their mind and telling us what we can do to get better. I will say this, one last thing. By the time you return, we will or should have in place at least our strategic plan, the Imagine SIUC in 2030. So I hope you at least look out for that. We will have that closer to the end of July, where you'll actually come back to not only the top 5 pillars, but our actual strategic plan that we'll launch as well with the new fiscal year. So really excited about that, and a lot of work went into that from everybody on this call, and I appreciate those efforts. So with that, thank you, and I'll yield to Mira next.
Thank you. Just a few remarks. One is to echo Chancellor Lane. I want to thank all our faculty instructors for helping to bring a tough spring semester to a close. We are aware that you did not have a spring break, and that would have added to a very stressful semester. And also a continued thanks for submitting your grades in a timely manner. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock is the deadline, and we're hoping to achieve 100% grade submission rate. That's our goal. And every semester we have been getting better at that, and the students appreciate it because whenever we don't submit grades, it kind of impacts them. Sometimes they lose financial aid, they go on probation and so on. So thanks to all the faculty for that. And updates on the dean searches for the College of Agricultural Life and Physical Sciences. The search committee shared their feedback as well as all the others who attended the various sessions and submitted the evaluations. So we are in the process of finalizing that search. For the College of Health and Human Sciences, yesterday was the deadline for submitting all the feedback. So starting today, we'll start processing the feedback and then narrow down the finalists. And we continue to have the weekly enrollment management meetings every Thursday at 10 o'clock. And that has been very helpful in getting all the stakeholders who work on that sort of mission on the same page. And I think with that, I end my remarks.
Okay. Thank you for the update, additional comments, both Chancellor Nan and Provost Kumaraju. And next, we would like our committee to give reports. First of all, as the chair of Executive Council, I would like to give you two updates. First, we were very successful in electing all the co-chairs of different standing committees. And you can see the list of co-chairs of those standing committees. I would like especially acknowledge our co-chair of the committee, both Inan Kujovsky and Song Hee Lee, for their help in selecting or electing co-chairs of 4 other standing committees. So that's one update. Another update was that we had our faculty Senate Executive Council meeting last Tuesday, and each committee gave a brief report, which they are going to give you the report again. And one thing which I would like we discussed is about the meeting format in the fall of 2021. So it is listed as agenda, part of agenda new business. So that's pretty much the brief report on my side. Any question, comments for me? Okay, so no hands, no question. Then I would like to invite the Vice President of the Faculty Senate, Bethany Reda, to give an update about the election, special election. In fact, election committee and the special election by working with the past Vice President. Bethany, are you there?
I am, yes. So we finished our special election, and so I would like to welcome Michael Eichholz from CALPS, Walter Metz from Arts and Media, and Robert Broomfield representing the NTTs to Faculty Senate, and thank them very much for their willingness to serve. Really, that's all I have to report, but I do want to thank all of you for all your patience through this special election and the billions of emails we sent out. I'd like to thank Grant Miller for his help on this matter. And of course, I have to thank Josh, who's nothing but absolutely outstanding and whose dedication to his work is at a level that I frankly aspire to. So thank you all for that. And that is all I have to report.
Thank you, Bethany. And footnotes is the Faculty Senate membership directory. And I would like to, although we didn't list on the agenda, maybe would you like to give us an update about the Faculty Senate list update?
You're talking about the roster?
Yeah, roster, yeah, the directory.
Yeah, it's finished. I've gotten a few edits to make. I've made all the edits and I sent you, Ting, the most current version that I had after the edits just before the start of this meeting at 1 o'clock. So it should be in your inbox before I guess we send it out to everybody. So
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. I would like to invite the Undergraduate Education and Policy Committee and Dr. George Remick and Dr. Amy Bro to give us an update. Joe and Amy.
This will be the only time this whole year I will say we have nothing to report.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Anything to add, Amy?
Nope, nothing to report at this time.
Good. Thank you. And Budget Committee, Dr. Marcus Oldham and Professor Jenny Probst. Marcus?
We also, again, are just getting started, and so we have nothing to report. We're looking forward to the meeting tomorrow with the Gray Associates and to see where they're going with that. And we may have some stuff.
As far as HIPAA violations and having people disclose whether they've gotten the vaccine. I've heard that quite a few times.
There's been conversation at the I4A level for the agencies on aging on, you know.
Elaine, your mic is on. Okay, but so, as I said, we have nothing at this time to report, but Jennifer, do you have anything to add?
No, I think you've got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Committee on committees, both Dr. Elaine Joukowsky and also Dr. Soo-Hee Lee, could you please give us an update, and also maybe some action will be needed?
Yes, thank you. I apologize about the mic. I was getting ready for me to give my report, and I thought the background noise was done. Anyway, I apologize. So we are happy to report that we have fully staffed each of our 4 committees. And within those committees, we have co-chairs for each committee. And all of the co-chairs have been voted upon by the committees themselves. And then our committee on committees did do a vote this morning for all of the people who are the standing members of committees. And you will see those listed on the roster list. So I'm happy to report that all of the members within each of those committees and their chairs have been affirmed by our committee on committees. And so this is our report.
Thank you. Soo-Hee, anything to add to your committee?
Yes, as Elaine reported, we are done all committee assignment. So thank you for so much for all committee members. So now we would like to get all faculty senators approval on this committee assignment. Thank you.
Okay, so would you like all the faculty senator, would you like to verify, ratify the chairs and co-chairs? Any opposed? Abstain? So chairs and co-chairs are approved by faculty senator. Thank you for your great work, both from Soo-Hee and Yinan. Thank you. And next one, faculty status and welfare committee. I know Dr. Scott Conrado, he is he couldn't make it, and Jennifer Sherry, are you there?
I am here. Since we are just now in the infancy of our co-chair of this committee, we do not have anything to report. However, there will be probably 2 things that I'm aware of that will be discussed and be acted upon at the July meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. And Governance Committee, I know we have Professor Joe Needham and Professor Patrick Mike Ross, and also Professor Li Chang Wang. I know one of them will be on sabbatic in the fall, and then Patrick will be back in the spring. I know all three of you here. I would like you guys to say anything if you have.
Good afternoon. Governance Committee doesn't have anything to report at this time, but we'll be checking in with the EC in the coming month.
Okay, thank you. So nothing else from Li Chang Wang and Patrick, Mike Ross?
No addition. Thank you.
Okay, Patrick?
No, the only thing I wanted to mention is just to thank Li Shang for agreeing to serve as co-chair in the fall while I'm on sabbatical. And I also just wanted to thank her for her leadership last year on the governance committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Faculty Advisory Council to IBHE and Dr. Li Chang Wang, could you please give us some update?
Oh, yes. No meeting was held since the last faculty senate meeting on the April 27th. However, there's one item being shared among the members of Faculty Advisory Council of IBHE. That is about the dual credit course impact, particularly financially on the institutions. We were, as a member, we were encouraged to request similar data from, for instance, SIUC. I sent the report to the immediate past Faculty Senate President, Dr. Adam, and also current President, Dr. Lee, and also I shared both the document to Associate Provost for Academic Program, Dr. Lizette Chevalier, and also the Director of Office of Register, Tamara Workman. And Tamara also agreed to look into our data probably in June. Right, Tamara? Yes, we had like email communications, but I don't know how whether we are going to share the data with the FACT IBHE, but I think it is interesting to say how this dual credit our courses impact basically SIU financially. That's kind of interesting because like the document I looked at from Western Illinois University seems like the current practice or the future proposed dual credit courses will cost some financially. That will be interesting. That all tie with what Chancellor Lang keeps saying, we want to make sure all the kind of money should be kept. That's one thing. For me, my personal concern, I think probably all of our faculty concern is more about the quality of these dual credit hours, how they impact our students, like future careers. All those things are more important to me. But I will keep an eye on that and keep reporting to you guys, listen to the advice and comments you're going to get. That seems to be a very important issue among other institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Li Chang Wang, for your update and report. And next one on our agenda is Graduate Council Representative, Professor Jinghua Li. Could you please give us an update?
Sure. Yes. Thank you for having me here. I am newly elected Vice Chair of Graduate Council. We had election for new officers last Thursday on May 6th, and the newly elected chair is Dr. Thomas Shaw. And so I will be attending your meetings, Faculty Senate meetings, and sharing updates of Graduate Council meetings. We had on May 6th, 5 RMEs approved. to establish temporary IBHE status for the Southern Cannabis Science Center, to move the School of Automotive and the School of Aviation to the College of Health and Human Sciences, and RME for a School of Africana and Multicultural Studies, and the RME for the School of Communication Studies, and the RME to eliminate agribusiness economics concentration in MBA. And that's all I have today.
Thank you, Professor Jinghua Li, for your update. The next one on our agenda is the update or report from Vice Chancellor of Research, Dr. Gary Kinzel. Could you please give us an update?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lee. I don't have a lot new things to add here from the last time that we met just a couple of weeks ago, but I do have one piece of information that's new, which is our third quarter grants and proposals report. So I did get that information. In the third quarter, we had 90 proposals submitted. That gives us a total of 249 proposals submitted through quarter three. And then we had in the third quarter, $16.7 million of research awards. That gives us a total of $55.4 million of research awards through the end of quarter three. One caveat on that $55.4 million is that does include the higher education emergency relief funds that we received, which is about $9 million. Even if we take that out, we're at around 46 million, which is still pretty good for third quarter results. I have no reason to doubt that we're going to approach or exceed $60 million of research funding by the end of the fiscal year. So I think we're on a very good track overall. I think if I had one area of concern, it's the number of proposals submitted. It does seem to be down a little bit. I'm going to blame it on COVID because that seems like as good a thing to blame it on as any. So hopefully that'll pick up as we move past this pandemic period of time. Other than that, like I said, I don't really have any new information to provide, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any question for Dr. Gary Kinzel?
Okay.
Okay, so no more question or comments about research. Now, so we are going to move on, and we have no all the business listed here, and we do have one item, new business. The faculty senate meeting schedule was sent out last Friday, and we would like to have a few minutes discussing the format in the coming academic year starting July. I know, yeah.
Dr. Lee, are you asking us what our preferred format would be?
Yes, I know last Tuesday, our faculty senate executive council talked about this, and many or most of us prefer Zoom continue, and some of us would like to maybe have a physical meeting. So it's good to have an open discussion. If needed, we may need to have a resolution.
I don't really know if this is possible, but is it possible to do a meeting where we have Zoom and in person at the same time? So people that feel like they don't want to be part of a crowd can still attend the meeting if the meeting is also in person. Does that make sense?
That should be possible, yes.
You mean hybrid?
Yeah.
I can
Yes,
just
hybrid.
tell you that I've been parts of meetings where most people are in person and a few are not, and it's always, you're always left out. It's very hard to attend to a couple people on a screen. So if it becomes most people in one situation versus the other, it doesn't tend to work very well. Just a thought.
So that makes sense, yeah.
The other, my biggest concern is that we're a pretty large body. I don't know if everybody has been fully vaccinated because it is not required. I mean, I think it's insane not to be, but that's my personal opinion. And so if, you know, I certainly would not be comfortable if some people were not being in a room, but even if we all are, I'd want to know that we had a very large, high ceilinged, ventilated room. It's still a little scary. So that would just be my concern. I don't know where we would hold it.
Go ahead.
I would second that one. I was wondering whether we have even like big enough room for us to keep like following the guidelines, still guidelines, but has the room available. The question, I don't know the answer.
One of the things that we discussed last week at the Executive Council was in order to comply fully with the Opening Meetings Act, we're going to need a larger room on campus anyway than that we typically have had in the past, when I think we were not entirely sure we came under the jurisdiction of the Opening Meetings Act. I remember that was only something that we clarified about a year ago, that we were, yes, indeed, we are under the jurisdiction of the state law. Because the public comment, we want to be able to have enough room and space in the room for people to come and watch the meeting and to participate in the public comment. And in the past, we've tended to be, when I was a proxy for, I can't speak from personal experience, but when I proxied for other senators, we were in smallish rooms around campus. So as we go back to coming out of the pandemic, I would recommend that we look into getting a Lawson, one of the big Lawson rooms or something that's very big on campus that can hold, I guess, 80 people. That would satisfy Elizabeth's concerns as well as the Public Meeting Act's concerns.
I also agree. And one thing with the Zoom, and this is something for the med school, we've tried different methods in the past. I think the Zoom is probably the one that's worked the best, with the med school being able to Zoom in. Some of the conferencing systems we had in the past, we kept losing them throughout the meeting. At least this seems more consistent. So I would say we would still have to have Zoom, because the med school faculty senate members would need to be able to attend the meeting.
But with that said, as a med school faculty meeting who runs a lot of meetings and hybrid meetings, they're a challenge. It's the best you can do. The med school will make do. I am all in favor of in-person meetings. And I'm also all in favor of vaccinations.
Here, here.
Thank you.
I think one of my issues with moving this group to a larger space, which of course would be great for our COVID guidelines, is if the point is to have intimate connection with people and to have easy conversation, I feel like in a bigger space, it might be a little bit more separating, and we might have to do a lot of shouting, and I'm not sure that a meeting in a larger space will meet those sort of interpersonal goals. So just my 2 cents on that.
I'll just say, I agree that a meeting in a larger room like that is going to make it much more difficult for conversation, but I still think that's better than the Zoom meetings. And that's what we're comparing it to.
That is fair.
Okay. Do you think that we are going to table this item? We may continue to have a discussion at our July's meeting. Would that be okay? And by that time, we may have a better.
President Lee, can I recommend that the Faculty Senate Executive Council come up with a policy recommendation and then present it to the full Faculty Senate in July?
Would that be okay with you guys? Okay, so we're going to table this item and allow Faculty Senate Executive Council to have more discussion and present to you all the faculty member at the July's meeting. Would that be okay with you guys? Okay, thank you. Well, I think, I know today it's our last meeting for this semester, and we had the very, very confusing at the very beginning, but our meeting pretty much, went pretty well. We still have, we're ahead of time. We still have about 45 minutes, unless you have anything more to have a discussion. Otherwise, I would like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Any more discussion or any other thing?
I move to end the meeting.
I second.
Thank you. So meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good summer.
Thank you.
Hey, you, Ting, do you want to stay on for 1 second?
Sure. Okay.
So really quickly, I wanted to mention when you were off the call, when everything was so confusing early on, we did mention, since we couldn't find Carol Walker, we mentioned that it might be good to have more than one person be host, or have the entire, all three of the officers as host along with Carol, so that, because the problem is we could have muted Jennifer, but the host was only the host can do that. So
okay. So let me ask you a question. Nobody left except me, right?
no, so a bunch of people. So the first thing was everybody get off the call and come back on. So a bunch of people left, and then a bunch came back on the call, hoping that someone else would be host. I don't quite know why. And then
there was a kind of Zoom bombing, some kind of thing that happened. I was very concerned.
Yeah, I think that one of the issues was it took a while to get your email for the new Zoom. So we were a little bit on the confused side as to whether we should stay on the call or whether you were going to give us a new invite. So and that was only just because it took a while for that email to get to all of us.
So I sent the email within 3 minutes. See what I mean?
Right, but I think it might have taken a little longer than 3 minutes to get to the rest of us. So we were just sort of sitting there, and then we couldn't find you, and so then I went ahead with the minutes, if that was okay, and then
that's fine. See, I was just puzzled. Number one, Carol was not there. This is something very, very concerned to me. We need to write to Carol Walker. I do not know who he reports to. He was not there. And second, maybe we just want to write to the chancellor and provost office and let them to help us rather than we write directly. And we need 3 of us, so to be at least Josh and Matt.
Yeah, at least one of us has to be a co-host. Yeah.
Yes, because they have a capability to mute, to kick out the other people. I cannot. See what I mean? Yep. That's number one. Okay, number two, I was very, very concerned about the Zoom bombing because this happened one time.
Oh, I was there. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. This was very ugly. Unprofessional, see what I mean? So, and originally there were a few professors called me, they want to come, but I don't know why they didn't show up. And